All right, welcome to meerir AI. Let's get started on setup. First thing you're going to want to do is go up to user profile, set up your user profile. Feel free to add a interesting image, organizational details, your role. Your critical piece is setting up your location. Some of the functionality within meerir AI will use this location as a default for running some of the prompts. For instance, some of the heat maps on the airspace page will use this location as a default. So make sure you go ahead and save those changes. All right, once you have your profile set up, let's start with the memory function. One of the biggest differentiators with meerir AI, as far as intelligent platform goes, is its ability to store organizational and even project context and memory when you're doing the prompts and analysis with the meerir AI platform agents. So here, what I recommend is for your organization, if there are concept of operations or policy documents or specific types of documents that you will always use and always needs to be added into context, this is your opportunity to go ahead and add those in. You can very quickly upload those documents from a file inside of your computer. That's the best way to get started with that. The other important piece of meerir memory is the ability to pull regulatory sources from the web, both domains and subdomains. We have pre-installed both FAA and EASA documents. We're adding more every day. And you also have the ability to add your own domains and subdomains if there is a specific site that the documentation in those domains is useful for your context. You can add those directly by putting the website URL in and then uploading that to your context. But if we take a look at some of the general regulatory domains and subdomains, for instance, the UAS regulations within the FAA domain, you can see here if you click this little button, discover all the names and subdomains within that specific page of the FAA UAS domain. And you can decide which ones or any or all of these subdomains you would like to have in your project memory. So some of these will be appropriate for you, some of them may not. And so this just allows you to control how much of this information is being injected as context. It's not always more is better. You want to make sure you have the specific sources that make sense for you in your project, because the more information and context you provide to the agent, the broader the scope it has to consider, and sometimes the answers will get watered down. And so more context is not the way to go. As you scroll down here, you can see what has been uploaded to memory. You can see what has been uploaded from these regulatory sources from web imports. You can delete, you can see what parts of the documents are being added as context as a quick view. And this just allows you to manage the specific meerir AI context and memory effectively. Before we jump in, I want to show you something important about how the memory and context function works within the platform. So when you type the question within their AI, you're not just chatting to get a response. Behind the scenes, it's reasoning across your uploaded files, your saved project memory, and even live web data. And it's all at the same time. For instance, click on Files, upload an appropriate file. Now your chat is grounded within the document that you uploaded. Click on Memory, select specific subdomains and domains of websites related to the FAA, and then chat with that context grounded. Generally won't use the web for answers unless you give it permission. This allows it to be grounded in appropriate context and to reduce hallucinations. So if you stored prior analysis, uploaded regulatory documents, built out previous airspace projects, Mirror AI has the ability to reference that context automatically. All of that stored in your memory. That's really critical in aviation. So airspace decisions aren't one dimensional. They involve operational history, policy, infrastructure, weather, community impact. All those variables change. So what makes Mirror AI different is that it actually reasons and it plans around the information that you want to give it access to. Projects is one of the more critical areas within Mirror AI because oftentimes, even with proper context or proper chats or proper analysis, the ability to be able to organize all that into one place for easy access and to share with others is really what helps Mirror AI stand out. So I want to walk you through how you actually create your first project, and then once it's created, how to interact with it. So let's go ahead and get started. Once you're in the projects page, go ahead and click on create your first project. You can see here, there's quite a few different fields. We've made it, or at least try to make it easy. If you already had an existing concept of operations or a project document that outlines the project, you can very easily come up to the upload concept document. And I'm going to use one that we have here as an example. Upload our San Francisco as a first responder concept of operations. And that'll take a few minutes to upload and process. So it's now marking down that document, and then I will populate some of the fields like title, description, and project instructions. All right, once you get the project instructions, the title and description in, you want to go ahead and set up the project boundaries. So this is the altitude and geographic boundaries, but the product from the operating in, and we'll talk about why that is so important in just a little bit. So you can set a polygon. If you click on polygon, you can add let and longs to create a polygon within a geographic region, or you can also use the radius function. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go over here to my San Francisco map. I'm going to say the project location is downtown. I'm going to get the lat and long back to the tool, and then you can just copy and paste, and it will auto-populate the latitude and longitude based on Google copy and paste. So it's formatted for that. So easy to do. Now I'm going to say the project is a 10-mile beyond visual line of sight corridor. So 10-mile radius. That sets up the map appropriately. You also have some quick access keys. I'd prefer just to put the extra mileage in. And then you want to set up your altitude ranges. So this is the altitudes that your operation is going to be working at generally. And so we're going to say this is a beyond visual line of sight project up to 400 feet. Go ahead and input that. And then we're going to say this project is not yet active. So you have the ability to set a future start date for the project. And that's going to be really important when we talk about intent sharing in just a minute. So we're going to say this project is slated to start May 26th. And then also, we're going to choose at this point to share these project details platform-wide. So we have to allow any other organization that's also planning or has an active project on the Mirror platform to see specific details of your project for coordination and collaboration. And I'll show you some of those details in just a minute. So I'm going to click that on. And when you do that, it's going to ask for a point of contact. So we will just use John Doe for now. And really got the phone number. A lot of folks won't want to have that, but you're welcome to. It's optional. But you do need a email address and point of contact. Name. I'll show you why in just a minute. And this toggle here is to share just internally with your own organization. So you, during the planning stages, if you like, you can share this just with your team members from the same organization, and you can choose not to share platform wide. I encourage it's to be share planning once the project's set up and ready to go to share this platform wide, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about lives in a minute. So let's go ahead and create that project. So you can see you're on your projects page now. You'll have a card for each project that exists that you have control over or that's been shared to you internally and by your organization. So once you click on that, this is where we go ahead and get started working within the project. So you can see here, you have the ability to chat directly in the project. And why that's important is you can provide specific project context to your chats. You still have the ability to upload files. You still have the ability to add memory from your memory section of your organization. And you also have the ability to still do web searches. All of that functionality still exists. Um, but the really critical piece is you can create workbook entries. So you can keep your notes, you can keep analysis in here, any kind of documents. You can upload the specific project documents that aren't in your organizational memory. Um, and you can, once you upload those documents, so let's give it a try here. We're going to upload vertiport guidance just to show you an example of how this works. Okay, now the project document is uploaded. You can control here if this is included all the time in any chat. You can turn it off. You can also see the actual text that's being included in the context. So you have quite a bit of control over this. You can also delete here. So we're going to leave the context off for now, and we're going to decide when we want to use that. Um, Dipper key, well, there's some project details over here, and you can see the point of contact. But what I want to show you here is at any point within Mirror AI, when you click on the M, it brings up the main Mirror chat interface. So what I want to do is go in here and do a little bit of airspace analysis. So I'm going to ask Mirror to give me a heat map of all aircraft within 10 miles of San Francisco, below 5,000 feet over the last 90 days. Oh, good. So now we have a heat map. It's done a airspace analysis. See quite a bit of traffic in and out of Oakland and San Francisco. The reason I want to do this airspace analysis is to show you that once this airspace heat map is produced, you can click select. You can click on a specific chat with the heat map in it. I mean, you're able to save that to your project. You can also come up here and rename this if you like. Just so it's easy to find later in your chat history. And so you can see here that if you click on a workbook, now we have the visualization of the data analysis in your workbook. Also, one of the things we found valuable is, let's say that you have 15 or 20 different workbook entries. You have multiple documents, multiple heat maps. Yet you have the ability to, once there's multiple workbook items, let's add a new entry just so I can show you. We'll save that. However, you have two entries, you're able to move these. And the reason that's important is because of the export feature. So let's say if you have a project that you've been working on, lots of different chat histories, lots of different analysis, and it's all stored within your project, and another organization or your boss would like a readout or a document or a summary of this project. You can very quickly go up here, click on export PDF, and it will generate a PDF for you to download, and it can include the visualizations, all of your chat history, and PDF format. So they're easy to use, and we find that to be super valuable for sharing.